on your board.
Supposed to be Region 6, Steve, which is Texas, Arkansas, I believe Louisiana, Oklahoma.
Yep.
But it also, and then also in the United States Capitol, there is a drill today, I believe, a NORAD drill with Falcon jets, and some kind of a drill with the Coast Guard and naval aviators, also over D.C. today.
Well, and so what I'm saying there is that obviously, Hawk, they test, and they retest. The purpose of our praise session and our fasting on Friday is to thank the Lord, not beseech the Lord, but to thank the Lord for His victory in bringing out the exposure and exposing all of their plans and all the evil, because it's based on this. There's nothing that's hidden that won't be made known and revealed. And I really believe, Hawk, we're seeing it even now. We're seeing the true nature of the evil that's been just under the surface, coming to the surface and manifesting itself. And I believe that God literally would do miracles on behalf of His people. If His people can understand that, ladies and gentlemen, it's not begging God that gets the response to faith. It's asking, and we've done that, and crying out to Him, but then thanking Him. It takes more faith to praise when you don't see something than it does to praise after you see something. And I noticed this, Hawk. Jehoshaphat was over surrounding odds, and those words jumped out against me. Even being under judgment as this nation is, God can still work His miraculous and merciful intervention on behalf of those whose hearts are perfect towards Him. Not perfect because of our perfection, but by accepting Jesus, we become made perfect and accepted in the Beloved. So I could not be more serious. I want to be clear because I'm getting emails. They don't understand what I'm saying. On Friday, I will be on live, the Lord willing. On Friday, we will be, during the day, going into the night, sundown, I'm declaring a day of fasting and thanksgiving. Not fasting and intercessory and beseeching the Lord, but thanking the Lord for His victory, for your victory, for your family's health, for your family's protection, and thanking Him. You follow me? There's a whole difference, and that's why I want people to really meditate on that over the next 24 to 48 hours, because I believe God will light and ignite the spark of faith in people's hearts, so when they come, things are going to be different. Holly Dale was telling me she just got tired of Stan getting beaten up by everything that was coming his way, and he doesn't talk about it, and I don't talk about it, but I mean, Stan was really under it, and finally she got angry. She took her authority, and instantly Stan's health came back. Obviously, there are those of us, Hawk, and others praying for you that are believing God for your health too. So, and also for Speaking Eagle, I just want to say to him, in the name of Jesus, be healed. The bottom line is that, ladies and gentlemen, this is a time like no other time in history. Obviously, had Queen Esther not gone in before the king, and had he not granted her request, the history of this world would be vastly different. But we have a God who's merciful, and even in judgment will remember His mercy. So, Hawk, this is the point on Friday, and I'll be on solo that night, but because of this breaking NLE, National Level Exercise, because of all of the events that are out there, and for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the Webbot report is 47 pages of some of the most dire, pronouncements that they've ever done.
1 billion dead is what they're calling for, Steve, from either one of the two alternatives plus the world famine. 200 million people in North America, Steve, as refugees trying to get into Canada, because they feel that some of this will not be happening above the 50th parallel, or above the 40th is where they're saying, and then if they said if you had to move last night that it should be above the 50th parallel and perhaps Canada and certain other places.
Well, I think that is really critical that people understand. Now, I don't know if you told people or you just posted it, but we need to talk about this. Last week, I think it was either Thursday or Friday, I was doing a radio show in Kalispell, Montana on Z600.
Friday, Steve.
And did you discuss that, Hawk? When you?
I haven't talked about it. No, I've got the post that I've got here. I was going to talk about that, so go right ahead.
Well, no. Here, I'll just tell it, and then, you chime in. Because, again, ladies and gentlemen, we've been telling you that the Canadian border, at least in Montana, I can't speak for the other border states, is being fortified with private mercenaries and also some of the most exotic robotic weapons-firing systems that have yet to be introduced into the U.S. military. Also, they are flying UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, up and down the Canadian-Montana border. Last week, C-130s, and I don't know all the different configurations. Dave, if you're listening, or Alan, if you're listening, you can tell me the ones that are the state-of-the-art C-130s, but they were flying literally feet above the runway at Glacier International Airport. That's Kalispell's main airport. It's not the one that you see when you come into the city of Kalispell, and doing low-level flights at high speed. Those are the kind where they drop off the equipment, Hawk.
Yeah, they just shoot the pallet with the armor or the Humvee or the supplies or the equipment right off the back of it.
Right, and that's the critical thing. They would not be doing that. So when the bots are picking up what they're picking up, I'm only telling you, this was in real time, coming from the eyewitnesses at the Glacier International Airport.
It went on for hours, didn't you say?
Yes, that's what they said. Now, at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, Kalispell, Montana, at the hospital, they have a SWAT team there. I don't know if it's local or federal SWAT team, but they're being told to prepare for civilian uprising. And ladies and gentlemen, why the hospitals and you doctors and you nurses need to listen to me. It is the plan to take over the hospitals, and you will not be allowed into the hospital, and if you're an employee, you will not be allowed out of the hospital. They want to make sure that all medical care, to quote, any insurgents is cut off, but even more sinister than that, there is a plan of the New World Order to ultimately take out all the doctors and nurses. Somebody said, well, why would they do that?
So they can't treat anybody.
You got it. And ladies and gentlemen, again, that is what's been taking place in Montana. So do I believe the bots are rightfully picking up that 200 million people will want to flee to the north? Absolutely. Do I believe that the activity in Montana is going to increase dramatically, as well as northern Idaho, also in northern Washington state, North Dakota? I mean, any border states, but Montana seems to be particularly of interest to them. John Stokes, the owner of Z600, made the statement. He said, this is some of the most valuable real estate in the world. You don't know why he's saying that. I will tell you simply this, that the assets both above ground and underground in about 100 linear mile border area is unimaginable. And I'll leave it at that. And wars have been fought in the last 2 years that you never heard about, that I was being briefed on in real time, even while I was on this program several years ago. So
that was ongoing stuff with Russians against Chinese, against everybody, wasn't it, Steve?
Yes, it is.
And even factions of the U.S. military. Steve, I've got a couple others that tie right in from other parts of the country, if I can just insert them right here, because they're apropos. This is something that I just got a couple days ago, and basically it said that in Northeast Ohio, some hospitals have been doing quiet drills involving pandemic preparations and mass vaccinations. Also, it was heard from two high-level retired intel people that Brazilian troops are already operating in the Ohio region, and that these people had actually heard troops speaking Portuguese amongst themselves. Steve, also the one that you got from a certain doctor we know who had been in India